Okay. Can I start? Okay. Okay. Thank you. ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. In the last session, we started the 15th chapter, and in the first 2.5 verses, Bhagwan talked about the very Swarupam, or the very nature, or the way the Jagat appears. So Jagat Rupam, Jagat Swarupam was talked about. And then Bhagwan said that this Jagat is what is called as samsara by our scriptures, because every jiva tends to get bound by this samsara and feels this bondage. But then it is possible to get out of this bondage of the tree of samsara by following certain sadhanas. And initially, in the first 2.5 verses, Bhagwan described this entire manifest universe or Jagat in the form of a tree, because there are a lot of common things between a tree and this samsara or this Jagat. And I explained in detail last time as to what were those 7 or 8 points which gave the common features between Jagat as samsara and also the Ashwatha tree. The Ashwatha tree is talked about basically because it is used as a very, it is a symbolic of something sacred in our culture. At the same time, this Ashwatha Vriksha is something which lasts for a very long time, and there are lot of sadharmyas or lot of commonalities, common features between Ashwatha tree and that of Jagat, and therefore it was compared to the Ashwatha tree, the samsara or the Jagat. And then Bhagwan went to talk about the sadhanas. What are the means by which this tree of samsara can be felled for my sake? And he talked about 4 sadhanas. The very first sadhana was the Vairagyam. We have already heard of that sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Initially itself, in Tattvabodha also, that is the first thing that is talked about. If a person wants to be free from this samsara, if a person wants to understand the very nature of the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, then the first thing that the person has to have is sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. A sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari alone is actually the one who is fit for this kind of a knowledge. And here, Bhagwan is now talking about the same sadhana chatushtaya sampatti in four different ways. Vairagyam was the first one he talked about. In which verse? He talked about in the third verse, in the second part of the third verse, where actually Bhagavan begins to talk about the sadhanas. The first 2.5 verses talked about the nature of this Jagat, samsara rupi vraksha. And then the last two lines of the third verse started talking about the sadhanas, in which Bhagwan said, the only strongest shastra or astra that the shastra which we can have, the instrument or the sword by which this tree of samsara can be felled is most importantly asangatvam or vairagya. And in the next verse, in the fourth verse, Bhagwan talked about two more sadhanas. What are the other sadhanas? That with vairagya itself, it is not sufficient. You may live a happy life here with vairagya because you don't crave for anything. Whatever comes, you take it as Ishvara Prasada. Yes. But then vairagya should go to the next extent, to the next level of understanding. Understanding what? What is my bondage? Why am I feeling this bondage? Is this world really causing bondage to me? What is the nature of this Jagat? Is it Ishvara's creation? If it is Ishvara's creation, why there is so much of sorrow in this Jagat? And then if I have to get out of this sorrow, what should I do? Okay, all this kind of questioning and getting into knowing the answers is what is called as parimarganam or inquiry. Parimarganam is actually a word, very commonly used by Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi in his Upadesha Saram and also in Sad Darshanam, the works by Ramana Maharishi. He uses this word very constantly, Parimarganam. Parimarganam means properly inquiring, a proper inquiring into the nature of the Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. And what is the meaning of proper inquiry? That means going to the Shastra and getting the Shastra or learning the Shastra from a Sampradaya with Guru. So that we called as Tat Padam Tat Parimargitavyam. And what is the purpose for which this Parimarganam or inquiry has to be done? This inquiry is done so that, I don't come back into this samsara again and again. I jump out of the cycles of birth and death. And that is why this inquiry is necessary. And this inquiry gives me the knowledge of that padam, that goal of every human birth, which is called as moksha, which is called as reaching or knowing Brahman, after which there's no question of getting bound by the samsara at all. Does it mean that for a jnani who has understood this, the one who is a mukta purusha or a jivan mukta, there is no samsara outside? The world is still there. This samsara rupi vraksha is still there, but it no longer causes bondage to this person. I am free from the bondage of samsara. And so the second sadhana was parimarganam or proper inquiry, or what we call as brahma vichara or shastra vichara. Third one, surrender to that very Brahman, to that very Ishvara about whom I want to know, which was called as prapatti. Okay, tameva adyam purusham prapadye. I surrender to that adyam adya purusha about whom I want to know. So my surrender to Ishvara, my surrender to Guru in the form of Ishvara. And why? Because it is, I want to know that particular source or that moolam which was talked about in the first verse, Urdhva Moolam. What is that moolam from which this everything is appearing? What is that moolam by knowing which I am free from the bondage of this samsara? What is that moolam from which this entire tree of samsara is getting its sustenance? What is that moolam because of this jiva is getting sustenance and coming back again and again and again? What is that moolam? To know that. These three sadhanas, also the fourth one, in the form of chitta shuddhi and acquiring all the sadgunas. inculcating all the values that were talked about in the 7th and 8th verses of the 13th chapter. It's very necessary to keep on going back into it again and again, because these are the values which make this mind mature enough, for this knowledge to really take shape, for this seed of knowledge to sprout. Chitta Shuddhi and preparation of this mind by Karma Yoga and by acquiring these sadgunas like Nirmana, Nirmoha, Jitasanga Dosha, Adhyatma Nityatvam, commitment to this knowledge, Vinivritta Kamaha, not getting under the vasha of kama, and dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sanyaihi. Sukha dukkha and likes, just like sukha dukkha, labha, alabha, jaya, apajaya, getting out of the dvandvas of these so-called pairs of opposite. Such a person is an amudha. Amudha means what? The person who's a discriminative person, who's no longer confused. And this person is the one who is able to really padam avyayam gachanti. These are the people, such are the people who are able to really reach that padam. Reach means what? Here there's no question of reaching. Here it is understanding that Moolam Brahma, that Brahman, what is that Aksharam Brahma from which everything is coming, knowing which I am totally and permanently out of this cycle of birth and death. Understanding this is called as going, gachanti, apti, prapti. Okay, all this is nothing but the words which Shastra has to use to talk about understanding this. So, what is that padam now? What is that aksharam brahma? That is going to be described in the 6th verse, in the next verse by Bhagavan. He has already described that fully in the 13th chapter, in the 9th chapter as Paraprakriti, in the 13th chapter as Kshetrajna Purushaha Gneyam, in the 14th chapter as Gunatita. But then here in the 15th chapter, Bhagwan chooses to describe the Swarupa Lakshana of that same Brahman in a little different way. And the 6th verse goes like this. न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धधाम paramam mama. So what is that padam which I have been talking about, Krishna, in the previous one? Gachanti amudaha padam avyayam tat. Okay, that tat avyayam padam. What is that padam? Padyate anena iti padyam. That which is reached, that which is known, that which is understood is called as padam. What is that padam? That padam is nothing but this Aksharam Brahma, which is being talked about in this chapter as Uttama Purusha or Purushottama. So, yad, let's see the last two lines. Yadgatva nani vartante. Hey Arjuna, this padam that I'm talking to you about is that by knowing which, by understanding which, na nivartante, there is no question of return. Return what? As a jiva. There is no return in the form of another body as a jiva. The travel is over once and for all. I have reached home. When you reach home, yes, I have come home, reached home. No question of coming back again and again. Yadgatva nani vartante. Having reached that padam means having understood that padam, knowing what it is, understanding that Brahman to be none other than me, this Atma itself. This is what is called as going or getting. Okay, yadgatva nanivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Okay, that is my abode. Krishna says, Paramam, that is the exalted, the highest abode of all the jivas. That is my abode, Ishvara's abode also. This Brahman is the ultimate abode. Okay, that is Tadhama. That is the ultimate understanding. That is the ultimate Swarupam. That is my ultimate Swarupam. Dhama can mean that is the place, but here Dhama means my Swarupam. Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. That is my Swarupam. Paramam Swarupam. That is my ultimate nature, Arjuna, knowing which to be you yourself. This nature, aham, is nothing but that Brahman. Knowing that, yad gatva na nivartante. And what is that Padam? What is that Brahman? Now, in this chapter, Arjuna, I'll tell you in a little different way. He says, Natad bhasayate suryaha. That Brahman, Aksharam Brahman, because of which everything exists, that cannot be lighted up by any other source of light. He says, that is the light of consciousness. This Brahman, this my Paramam Dhama, my Swarupam, my ultimate Swarupam, is that light of consciousness which is within you, within every jiva. It is that light of consciousness which lights up everything else, which lights up the whole universe. But that itself cannot be lighted up by anything else. So, natad bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha. All the known sources of light cannot light up this consciousness. What are the known sources of light? That is what suryaha. Sun lights up everything, the jagat, daytime. Shashankaha. Moon lights up the whole world in the night. Pavakaha, the Agni lights up everything, either in the presence or in the absence of either Surya or Chandra. Isn't it so? Agni also lights up. These are the important sources of light we know. There are other sources of lights also, like the starlight is there, Vidyut, the lightning light is there. Okay, all these sources of lights are ultimately lighted up by this light of consciousness. Correct? Now, even to say that the sun is shining, it is this consciousness which lights up the light of the sun. It is this Brahman or consciousness which lights up the light of the moon. Oh, beautiful moonlight. Who says that? It is this consciousness which lights up the moonlight, lights up the sunlight, lights up the Agni also. But it cannot be lighted up or it cannot be objectified by any other light. What is the meaning of this? This Atma, Brahman, this Param Dhama, my aham, my nature, tadhama paramam mama, okay, padam avyayam, this Brahman is the ultimate light of consciousness. It is because of this light of consciousness, everything is lighted up. This consciousness itself cannot be lighted up by anything else because this light of consciousness is the very subject, the very knower consciousness. Therefore, this Brahman, Atma, consciousness, Aham, I am not an object of perception. I am the one which lights up every other object which is perceived by you. And Arjuna, this is that paramam padam avyayam yadgatva nanivartante. Understand me, this Brahman, to be that consciousness within you, this Brahman, which is the one which lights up everything. It is the knower, knowing light of consciousness. This has been taken from the Upanishads again, Mundaka Upanishad and also Kathopanishad. As we know, Bhagwan Krishna borrows heavily from Kathopanishad. This is also a mantra from Kathopanishad only. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagni. That is the one, that is what has been described. Nothing has been. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. It says that. Okay. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. Okay. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. This light of consciousness is not lighted by Chandra or Tarakam or Vidyut or Surya or Agni. Tameva Bhantam. When it shines, Anubhati Sarvam. Everything shines after it. It is the light of consciousness which reveals everything, but which by itself cannot be revealed by any other source of light. All other sources of light are revealed only by this consciousness. And Arjuna, this is the Padam which has to be known. This is the Brahman which has to be Parimarganam, has to be done. And to know this Brahman only, you have to get it from a proper vichara, from a sampradaya with Guru, by following the sadhanas of Vairagyam, Prapatti, and imbibing of values. And I am that Brahman. And now, Arjuna, I will tell you what is this Jiva now. See, as I told you, the 15th chapter being a very complete chapter by itself, Jagat Swarupam, Brahma Swarupam, now Jiva Swarupam is talked about. In the next 6 verses, Bhagwan talks about the Jiva Swarupa. What is this Jiva? Is this Jiva, the you and all these Jivas in the Jagat? Have they simply come on this tree of samsara? What are they actually? Are they independent of me, that Brahman? Are they independent of this consciousness? Are they Jivas which have just been put there in the tree of samsara? What is this Jiva? What is the nature of this Jiva? What is it that travels? Why does this Jiva travel? And what is it that how is this Jiva really traveling in this Jagat? That is what is going to be told in the next few verses by Bhagwan. And here in the 7th verse he says, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Manashashtani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. We'll take the next verse also along with this, because this verse, 7th verse and 8th verse, are literally the continuation of each other. So, Shariram Yadavapnoti Yachapyutkramati Grihitvaitani Sanyati Vayurgandhani Vashayat. So he says, what is this Jiva now? We say Jiva, Jiva, I am a Jiva. So what is this Jiva? So Bhagwan says here, Mamaiva Amshaha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatana. This Jiva is nothing but Mama Yeva Amshaha. Now we have to understand very clearly what this Amsha means. What is the meaning of Amsha? Amsha means a part, correct? Can Brahman or Atma have a part? Because we have already seen that Brahman or Atma is complete, Niravayava Atma, Nirguna Atma. Correct? So if the Atma or Brahman or this Padam, which here Lord Krishna calls Aham, here means Lord Krishna is talking about Brahman. Let us understand that. Here, as Purushottama, as Nirguna Brahman, as Brahman, whenever Bhagwan Krishna says Aham in this chapter, he talks as Brahman. So Krishna represents Brahman. So he says, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutah Sanatana. So Arjuna, all these jivas are nothing but my amshas. Now, confusion comes here. Correct? Bhagwan himself has told in the earlier chapters that Brahman or Atma is Niravayavam. That means it has no parts. It is Gunatitam. That means it has Nirguna. Also, it is something which cannot change. It is nirvikari, therefore it cannot change. Then, how can Jiva become an Amsha or a part of Brahman? Here we have to understand, as Bhagwan Shankaracharya very clearly says, here Amshaha means a reflection. Every jiva is my reflection. We already saw that in the 13th chapter, isn't it? Chidabhasa. Okay, that comes here. Who is a jiva? Every jiva is my reflection in the buddhi of the jiva. In every jiva, there is a sukshma sharira, and the subtlest part of the sukshma sharira is this buddhi, which is present in the hridaya guha, and I, this Brahman consciousness, automatically get reflected in this buddhi, because the buddhi is a reflecting medium. The buddhi of every jiva is a wonderful, subtlest reflecting medium, and every jiva, because of the buddhi present in every jiva, reflects me, this consciousness or Brahman. And that reflection which is present in the buddhi of every jiva is called as the Abhasa Chaitanyam or Chidabhasa or Pratibimba Chaitanyam. And this reflection in the jiva's buddhi, in the body mind sense complex, that reflection in the buddhi is called as jiva. Therefore, the 84 lakhs jivas that are there, they are not my 84 lakhs parts. I don't divide into 84 lakhs parts and go and stay in each body mind. No. I, the one and the only consciousness, I, the one and only Brahman, get reflected in millions of jivas, and that reflection is called as the jiva. Mamaivamsho jiva loke. In this world, in the world of jivas, in the samsara, wherever the jivas are there, wherever there is a sukshma sharira, wherever there is a buddhi because of the sukshma sharira, in every such body mind sense complex, I, this Brahman consciousness, get reflected. And this reflected consciousness, or this reflection of me, this consciousness, the reflection, Pratibimba Chaitanya, Abhasa Chaitanya, or Chidabhasa, is called as Jiva or Jivatma. Okay, this is the Jivatma. Somebody asked me the question, what is the Jivatma? This reflection or Chidabhasa in the buddhi of a Jiva, along with the body mind sense complex, becomes a Jiva. And this reflection in the buddhi is called as the Jivatma. What is it a reflection of? It is a reflection of the original Paramatma. Mind you, there are no two consciousnesses. There is nothing called as original consciousness and reflected consciousness. There is one consciousness which is the Bimba Chaitanyam, and in every jiva, that very same consciousness gets reflected. And as many jivas are there, so many reflections are there. And in that way, that reflection of the Atma or Brahman in a jiva is called as Jivatma. Jivatma is nothing but a reflection of me, the Paramatma. So, Mamaiva Amshaha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha. In the form of Pratibimba Chaitanya, in the form of Abhasa Chaitanya, I manifest in every jiva. Therefore, what is a jiva? What is the nature of a jiva? The jiva is nothing but my own reflection. And this jiva continues eternally. Jiva bhutaha sanatanaha. Why continues? Because I consider myself as a complete, I forget Paramatma. I forget the Bimba Chaitanya, and I think this Abhasa Chaitanya, along with this body mind sense complex, I am the one. I am the original. There's nothing other than me. I don't even know that there is a Bimba Chaitanya and I am a mere reflection. I don't even know that. For this only I should go to the Shastra. The Shastra tells me by, Atma Anatma Viveka, the Shastra tells me, look, even that Abhasa Chaitanyam, which you call Aham Ahamiti, that Ahankara which you have, which is nothing but this Abhasa Chaitanyam, you are not that. That is a mere reflection. That Paramatma, the original, is the one, that consciousness. And what you call as I, the Jiva, this Jivatma, is a mere reflection. To know this, I have to go to the Shastra. And who am I? Ultimate nature of me is what? That Paramatma itself. I, the Jivatma, is a mere reflection of that Paramatma. And as this Jivatma, without getting this knowledge, I continue eternally. Jiva bhutaha sanatanaha. And then what does this Jiva do? This Jiva comes, after it's, once it has to embody itself to work out whatever new prarabdha karmas are going to start. At the end of the prarabdha karmas, this Jiva leaves the physical body, travels, and waits for another body, gets embodied into another body, comes back again. So the same Jiva leaves one body, comes back to the other, leaves one body, comes back to the other, and continues in this cycle of samsara. And what does it do at the time when it leaves? Manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Okay? Shariram yad avapnoti. So he says that this jivatma, when it leaves a physical body, that physical body, it travels along with the entire Sukshma Sharira. The Indriyas, the mind, the Chidabhasa travel together. This traveling Jiva, what does it do? It takes along with it all the sense organs and the mind. Therefore, see our sense organs, the Jnanendriyas, and our mind is the same because we are the same Jivas. The bodies are different. It is the same mind, the same buddhi, the same sense organs which we are traveling with this reflection as jiva. Only this body is the new one, like changing our clothes. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya. We saw that in the second chapter. So he says, so manaha shashtani indriyani, the five sense organs, with the sixth one, shashtani, manaha shashtani, with the sixth one, the antakarana, the sense organs, jnanendriyas, with the sixth, the antakarana. What do? Prakriti sthani karshati. This jiva, when it leaves the physical body, drags this entire sukshma sharira of the jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, and entire sukshma sharira. It drags this sukshma sharira along with the indriyas and mind from the present physical body. Prakriti sthani, here prakriti means physical body. See, in our physical body also, there are places where all the sense organs are placed, correct? The chakshuhu indriya is placed in this eye is called as golakas. These eyes are not the indriyas. The anatomical eye is called as the golaka. Whereas the capacity to see, the capacity of sight which is behind his eyes is the indriya. Similarly, all our sense organs, they are golakas, the anatomical parts. And here Bhagwan says, they are the places where these sense organs are situated. Therefore, Prakriti Sthani, those sense organs which are situated in the respective golakas in the body, and the mind which is situated in its respective buddhi guha, hridaya guha, at the time of death, what does this jiva do? This jiva prakriti stani karshati. It pulls or it drags away the sense organs and the mind, the entire sukshma sharira. You have to include prana and karmendriyas also. Here, though Bhagwan is mentioning jnanendriyas and the mind, the entire sukshma sharira, the jiva drags from its current nivasa, from its current body, prakriti sthani. Here, prakriti means the current physical body. And then what does it do? Shariram yad avapnoti grahitva yetani sanyati vayurgandhani iva ashayat. 8th chapter. Okay, this all mixed up here. So when does it take, when does it drag, when does when the jiva leaves the physical body? When does the jiva leave the physical body? When its prarabdha karmas are over, when this body is no longer suitable for this jiva to exist, at that time the jiva leaves. That is mentioned in the second line here. Yacha api utkramati ishvaraha. Here ishvara means the jiva swami, the jiva swami. Whenever the jiva utkramati leaves the physical body, what does it do? Manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. It drags along with it the entire sukma sharira. Then what happens? Again, shariram yad avapnoti. And the jiva, which is the lord of this particular body which has already left, wants to embody again in another new body when the prarabdha karmas have fructified enough for that jiva to embody itself in another body. How long does it take? We don't know, because the time here in this world and the time concept in the other worlds is very, very different. How long the jiva stays outside this body before it gets another body, we don't know. Where does it stay? How does it stay? In which is its ashraya? All that are talked about in the Upanishads in a particular thing called as Panchagni Vidya in Chandogya Upanishad. It is talked about where the jiva goes from here. Then what is, its state of, getting what you call processing of the jiva, and before it comes back again. It is talked about. All things are there. But here, Bhagwan is not talking about all these stages. It says, when the jiva is leaving this physical body at the time of death of the physical body, the jiva is what? The Swami of this body takes along with it the sense organs and the mind. Yachapi utkramati Ishvaraha. Now, this Ishvara should not be taken as Ishvara, God, Lord. Here, Ishvara is Jiva Swami, Jiva, the Pura Swami, the Jiva takes along with it. Then what happens? Shariram yad avapnoti. When the same jiva takes up another body, when the prarabdha karmas are getting fructified, what does it do? Grahitva yetani sanyati. Okay, the same sense organs are placed back in their respective stations in the new body. If it is a human body, then eyes will be in the eyes and ears, wherever it has to be, they will be located. This jiva sees to it that all these sense organs in the next human body are located in their proper place. The chakshurindriya is not placed in the ear, no. Wherever the golaka is, in that particular anatomical part, the indriya is placed. You may say, supposing I am born in the next life as a tree or something, then what happens? Whatever indriyas are necessary for that particular jiva or that particular form will be manifested in that particular prakriti sthanam, in that particular sthana of the body. The other indriyas remain avyaktam, they do not operate, because there are certain animals which have only four indriyas or three indriyas. The sthavaras, like the plants, they have only the tvak indriya, they don't have the other indriyas. So what happens to the other indriyas? They remain unmanifest, in an unmanifest form. So grahitva etani samyati, it brings, when it takes another body, depending upon the karma, the respective sense organs are placed in the respective places. And how does this jiva carry this sukshma sharira? How does this jiva carry all this sukshma sharira along with this mind? Here Bhagwan gives an example. Vayur gandhani iva ashayat. Just like air or wind carries the fragrance from flowers. Can we see that? We cannot know. We can just smell the fragrance of flowers. And we know by fragrance that, oh, there is some flower here, it is fragrant. And how the vayu or the air carries the gandha or the fragrance. Ashaya means flower. Ashayat gandhani. Vayuhu gandhani iva ashayat. Just like vayu, you know, carries the fragrance from flowers and you cannot see. The example is given here to tell us that when the jiva is leaving the body, carrying the entire Sukshma Sharira, we cannot see it. It is like the air or the Vayu carrying fragrance from a flower. It is not seen. It is not Vyakta. Similarly, when the jiva comes back into another body, when it comes, where it comes, and how it gets established, we cannot see it. So the example given here is unseen avyaktam, but just like the air carries the sugandham of the flowers, ashayat, from the flower, fragrance is carried, like that, the jiva carries with it the entire sukshma sharira, and when the next body comes, it comes back into that. Who am I? I am not the traveling jiva. This is what I have to understand. I, the traveling jiva, is only a reflection of that Paramatma. And till I understand that I, the reflection, I, this jiva, is not the reality. Till I understand, I, this jiva, will keep coming back again and again in the same form. And then he says in the next verse, Shrotram chakshu sparshanancha रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते. Why does this jiva re-establish or replace all these sense organs and mind in their respective golakas? We saw that in the previous verse. That he repeats again. Shrotram, chakshuhu, sparshanancha, rasanam, ghranam evacha. All the five jnanendriyas, all the five organs of perception, adhishtaya, having established them, manascha, the mind also, having established these five sense organs, along with the mind, in their proper places, in that particular physical body, new body which the jiva has taken, vishayan upasevate. This jiva becomes the bhokta and karta. So, I, the Atma, Paramatma, am not the Karta and Bhokta. That means what? The doer and the enjoyer. So, this Jiva, through the mind, through the sense organs, after having established them in the right places, it is this Jivatma, this Jiva, who experiences the entire universe. And this Jivatma is the one which says, I am an individual. These are the Vishayas in the world. I want to have this. I want to do this. It is this reflection. It is this Jiva. It is this Jiva reflection or Jivatma, this Jiva, this reflection with the body, mind, sense complex, having established itself properly in whatever body I have acquired, the Jiva has acquired, Vishayan upasevate, enjoys all the Vishayas. Enjoys means what? Dukha also is there. Experiences. Upasevate means experiences. So the Jiva's experiences are not belonging to the Atman. The Jiva's experiences are Jiva's experiences. This is what Bhagwan is trying to clearly say. What is this Jiva? Jiva is, Atma is not the Jiva. I, this Brahman, Atma, Aham, I am not the Jiva. Then what is the Jiva? The Jiva is my very reflection. And with the body, mind, sense complex, this reflection considers itself to be an individual and goes traveling from one body to the other, doing the karmas, experiencing the karma phalas, jumping about in the various branches of the samsara vriksha, which we talked about in the last session, and sanatanaha keeps on coming back again and again and again into this cycle of birth and death. Now, in the next verse, in the 10th verse, Bhagwan says that the one who understands this, the one who understands that whatever is traveling, whatever is getting back into another body, whatever is experiencing the whole world and leaving this physical body, this jiva, I am not that jiva. This jiva is not my real nature. It is not the real me. The one who understands this really understands what is being told by Bhagwan in Bhagavad Gita and by our rishis in all the Upanishads. So here in the 10th verse, Bhagwan says, Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Who sees and understands what is a jiva? Who understands that I am not the jiva? This is what is being told here. So, utkramantam sthitam vapi. That which is leaving this physical body, sthitam vapi, or that which is inhabiting in this physical body, bhunjanam va gunanvitam. That which is endowed with all the gunas, I think though many times I say, no, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm intelligent, I'm lucky, I'm sukhi, I'm dukhi. So I'm making this is the jiva which says this. Okay, so he says that bhunjanam va gunanvitam, the one who is experiencing all these pairs of opposites, the one who is experiencing the entire jagat, the one who's interacting with the entire Jagat, the one who says that I am enjoying this, I am suffering this, the one who thinks that, I am going through all these experiences, the one who thinks that I am the doer of all this, the one who thinks I am the experience of all this. I am the one who's going to leave this body. I'm going to die. I'm going to die when the time comes. I'm going to be reborn again. Anybody who thinks like this, vimudha nanu pashyanti. Okay. The vimudhas or these people who are confused people do not understand that it is the jiva which leaves the body. It is the jiva which embodies itself again in another body. It is the jiva which experiences all the experiences. It is the jiva which is the karta and bhokta. Iti vimudhaha nanu pashyanti. These confused people do not understand. What is the confusion about? The confusion about who is the real me. Am I the Paramatma or am I the Jivatma? This is the confusion. Okay. Really, who am I? Am I really this Jivatma or am I the Paramatma? Am I this? Is this what is going through here? Is it that Paramatma or Brahman going through that, or is it its reflection, mere the reflection Jivatma going through that? The ones who are confused, ignorant, those who do not have any idea about this, they are the ones who don't see. What do they say? I was born on such and such a date. I am going to die. I am seeing this. I am experiencing this. So when I say this, it means that I do not understand who is the real traveler, who is the real doer, who is the real experiencer. I do not see that. So, mudhaha, the ignorant people, do not see that. And who sees this? Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The ones who see this fact that that whatever is the traveling one is the jiva, I am not that jiva. Whoever is experiencing this universe is the jiva, I am not the jiva. The jivatvam is my confusion. The jivatvam is my avidya. Who am I? I am that natad bhasayate suryaha, whatever was talked in the sixth verse. That is what I am. This is seen by whom? By a jnana chakshu. Who is a jnana chakshu? The one who has understood this clearly. How has he understood this fact? By doing parimarganam, by going through this shastra vichara. How has he gone through this shastra vichara? By preparing his mind by karma yoga, upasana yoga, acquiring the, inculcating the gunas or the sadgunas or the values, and the one who has surrendered to Ishvara, the one with vairagya and jitasanga doshaha, the one who is won over this sangha or with vairagya. Such are the people who have understood the real nature of themselves, that what is this jiva? What is the nature of this jiva? Who is it that is traveling? Who is it that is experiencing? This jnana chakshushaha, these people with the eyes of knowledge, very clearly see, pashyanti. Whereas the vimudhaha, they don't see. Vimudhaha na anupashyanti. The same thing is being talked about in the next verse also, in the 11th verse, where he says, यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानः नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. Sorry. The same thing is being, what I was told in the last verse is again explained here. Yatantaha yoginaha cha yenam pashyanti. Yatantaha, those who are making an effort. Who are the ones who are making an effort? The sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikaris, whom we talked about in all these verses. The people who are, endowed with these four sadhanas. They're called as the yogis. They are the karma yogis, they are the upasana yogis, they are the nididhyasakas, they are the jignasu bhaktas, yatantaha yoginaha, yatantaha, the ones who are constantly making an effort. These are the yatis, those who are making a prayatna, those who are trying to understand this, following the footsteps which Bhagwan has laid out for us. Karma Yoga first, Chitta Shuddhi with Karma Yoga, then Upasana for Chitta Naishchalyam, Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti for Chitta, expansion, Chitta Vishalata, all these things, Vairagyam, all these things Bhagwan has laid out step by step by step by step. He has laid out how one should go about. And when I follow that, go on that path, I become a yati. Yatanashilaha, the one who is making an effort. See, I have to make an effort, isn't it? Even to understand Parimargana means what? I have to make an effort to inquire into this. And if I have to make an effort to inquire into this, I should have the proper preparation of the mind. To have the proper preparation of the mind, again, I have to do the prayatna for all these things, which Bhagwan has clearly laid out from the second chapter onwards. So, yatantaha, those who are making an effort, yatanashilaha, yoginaha. These people, these mumukshus, are called as yogis. Why are they called as yogis? Because they are trying to get to that ultimate goal. It is the yoga for them. It is, their entire goal of their lives is that yatantaha yoginaha cha yenam pashyanti. Yenam pashyanti means what? Yenam pashyanti jivatmanam jivatma iti pashyanti. Where? Atmani avasthitam. Atmani here means in the body. This jivatma, which is the reflection of this consciousness which is all pervading, but that which is temporarily located in this particular body mind sense complex, iti yoginaha pashyanti, they see. These are the jnana chakshushaha of the previous verse. They see it very, very clearly. And they also understand that it is this jiva which comes and goes, but I am not this jiva. I am this Purushottama Nirguna Chaitanya Brahma Atma Brahma iti. So yatantaha yoginaha cha yenam pashyanti. What do they see? They see this jivatma as the traveling jivatma, and they also see that I am that Paramatma which never travels, that Paramatma which is neither a Karta nor a Bhokta. They see it very clearly. And that Paramatma is everywhere. Whereas Atmani Avasthitam, in this particular body mind sense complex, that which is present as the Jiva, as the reflection, as the Pratibimba Chaitanyam, they very clearly see. Yatanto api akritatmanaha. There may be some people who may be making some effort for the sake of making an effort, a kind of a effort which is not a serious effort. Oh, it seems there is something like that. Oh, I should also attend Vedanta class. I should also attend Gita class. No proper preparation of the mind, no proper commitment to knowing it. Just, oh, everybody is going, let me also go. Let me, no. That. So, yatanto api, even though they are making an effort, akritatmanaha, if they are not prepared for this. What kind of preparation? As was told in the previous verses and the previous chapters, even if you make an effort to do this parimarganam, if you don't have the preparation of the mind, then na yenam pashyanti, they cannot see this. They cannot understand. See means what? Understand. What is this jivatma? What is this jiva which is present in this body mind sense complex? Am I really that? What is it that is traveling and coming back? Am I really that? And if not that, what am I? This is the Parimarganam or the Vichara, Vedanta Vichara, Brahma Vichara, done by a yogi, Yatantaha, making an effort, committed to this knowledge. Knowing this, a yogi, he will see clearly. Yaha Pashyati Sa Pashyati, we saw that in the 13th chapter. The one who sees this clearly. Whereas an effort which is put, not proper effort, some kind of an effort off and on, occasional, you know, yatantopi akritatmanaha. Akritatmanam, the one who has no preparation, no vairagyam, no prapatti, no serious commitment, no serious parimarganam, no sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Simply jumping from one class to another class, one guru to another guru, just jumping from one text to another text. That is not going to give me this correct picture. Nainam pashyanti achetasaha. These are all achetasaha. Achetasaha means the ones whose minds are the status or the mind is not capable of really fixing on what is supposed to be done. Therefore, this kind of, achetasaha, those who are not prepared, akritatmanaha, those who have not prepared their intellects for this knowledge, even though they make an effort, they will not be able to see this very clearly. See what? What is this jiva? What is that original? What is that consciousness? Who am I out of this? Am I this traveling jiva or am I the original Bimba Chaitanya? Who am I? This kind of a parimarganam, this is what is seen by such a prepared person. And now, with this, the Jiva Swarupa is over. Bhagwan is expressing that Jiva is nothing but my reflection, but then it is the Jiva which gets bound to this samsara rupi vraksha rupi rupa samsara jagat. And how to get out of it? He gave the sadhanas. And what is it that one must know? He said, Yadaditya, that is that Natad bhasayate Surya Brahma. Then, now he wants to say, what is this Brahman or who am I? I am the Sarvatma. I am the one who's manifesting in every jiva as Jivatma. I am the one manifesting in every object of the world as its adhishtanam. Sarvam Brahmamayam Jagat. I am that Brahman which is manifesting as a jiva in a living organism, but as all the other things, those non-living features, things also are nothing but my manifestation only. And for this, he takes the next verse where he gives an example of a non-living thing. From the jiva now, he goes to the insentient jagat. So we'll just read this and then we'll say. Yadadityagatam tejaha jagadbhasayate yachandramasi yachagno tattejo vidhi mamakam. Arjuna, understand that this Surya who's lighting up the entire jagat, Aditya Gatam Tejaha, this Tejaha of Aditya or Surya, Yada Jagat Bhasayate Akhilam. Akhilam Jagat Bhasayate. This Surya's light or Teja lights up the entire Jagat. Yat Chandramasi. The Chandrama or the light of the moon lights up also the world in the night. Yatcha Agno. The light of the fire also lights up the entire universe. Not only that, sometimes the light of other things also, even Vak, in the night times when it is dark, I can direct somebody by my speech. Correct? Don't go there, take a left turn, take a right turn. You can't see, you come here, you will find this. So, anything that lights up anything. Here he mentions only three things. The whole Jagat in the daytime is lighted up by sun, in the night by Surya, and Agni at other times. Where do you think this shine or this tejas comes from? He says, Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. Here, Krishna is not talking out of Ahankara, mind you. He's not saying that all these tejas, all this light, all this brilliance in the sun, this cool moonlight in the moon, and this brightness or the brilliance in the Agni, that Teja belongs to me, he says. Mamakam. Here, Lord Krishna is not talking as Mr. Krishna. He's not talking as it is, out of Ahankara. He says, as Brahman. Mamakam. Here, as I said, whenever Lord Krishna here in the 15th chapter or any other chapter here says Aham, he talks as Brahman. So, Arjuna, may you understand, not only as the Jiva as a reflection, I reflect in the non sentient beings of the entire Jagat also. And to give you a few examples, Arjuna, that light and that brilliance in the sun, that light in the moon, and that brilliance and light in the fire are nothing but me. It is my Teja. They are insentient. They are not capable of independently lighting up anything. It is my light which is reflected by them. Therefore, in the non sentient universe also, I manifest in every object. And here Bhagwan gives only the example of Surya, Chandra, and Agni because it's most easily seen by us to be lighting up the entire thing. So, with this, we'll stop again now. In the next verses, also, how this Brahman or I, Bhagwan Krishna says, manifest in the Jagat as the very Adhishtanam, as the very support of this entire universe. How I manifest is what is going to be talked about in the next verses. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.